Something is quietly happening inside your body right now. A hormonal shift, a cellular breakdown, and most men over 60 have no idea it is happening until the damage is already done. There is a tiny seed, one that has been used in ancient medicine for over 3,000 years, that modern clinical research is now confirming can directly target the root hormonal cause of prostate enlargement and simultaneously repair the exact cellular mechanism responsible for rising blood sugar. Two conditions, one seed, and the science behind how it does both at the same time will genuinely change how you think about what is happening inside your body after 60. But before I tell you what this seed is, I need to show you the biological problem first, because without understanding it, the solution will not make complete sense. And trust me, once you see it, everything clicks. I am Dr. Ethan Whitmore, and I have been practicing medicine for nearly 2 decades with a focus on men's health and metabolic wellness in older adults. I have sat across from thousands of men in their 60s and 70s who are doing everything right, watching what they eat, staying active, following their doctor's orders, and still watching their prostate symptoms worsen and their blood sugar climb. And almost every single time, the missing piece was not another prescription. It was a fundamental misunderstanding of what is actually driving both of these conditions at the hormonal level. Before we go further, I would love to know where you are watching from today. Drop your city or state in the comments right now. I read every single one, and it helps me understand which communities need this information the most. Here is the conversation most doctors are not having with their male patients over 60. Your prostate and your blood sugar problem are not two separate conditions that coincidentally showed up at the same time. They share the same biological engine, and that engine has a name. It is called chronic low-grade inflammation, combined with a specific hormonal conversion that accelerates after 60. As testosterone levels naturally decline with age, your body compensates by increasing the activity of an enzyme called 5-alpha reductase. This enzyme converts your remaining testosterone into a far more potent androgen called dihydrotestosterone, DHT. And DHT is aggressive. Inside your prostate, it binds to androgen receptors and sends a continuous, unrelenting growth signal to prostate cells. Those cells multiply. The prostate expands. The surrounding tissue becomes inflamed. And that same inflammation, driven by the same hormonal cascade, also degrades the insulin receptor sensitivity in your muscle cells, making it progressively harder for your body to clear glucose from the bloodstream efficiently. One enzyme, two conditions, compounding each other every single day. Now add to this the fact that after 60, your body's natural anti-inflammatory defenses weaken, oxidative stress accumulates in prostate tissue and pancreatic beta cells simultaneously, and the nutritional deficiencies that accelerate both conditions become harder to correct through diet alone. Most men are not aware that the prostate is one of the most metabolically active organs in the body. It requires a very specific set of micronutrients to maintain healthy cell turnover, regulate DHT activity, and control local inflammation. When those micronutrients are chronically depleted, which they are in the majority of American men over 60 due to aging gut absorption, medication interference, and dietary gaps, the prostate loses its internal regulation, and blood sugar management loses one of its most critical support systems at exactly the same time. This is not bad luck. This is a predictable, physiological pattern, and it is one that a very specific seed addresses with a precision that genuinely surprises researchers who study it. That seed is fenugreek. And before you think you have heard this before, stay with me, because what most people know about fenugreek is a fraction of what the clinical research has actually established about what it does inside the male body after 60, specifically at the hormonal and cellular level. Fenugreek seeds contain a steroidal saponin compound called protodioscin, which has a direct and documented inhibitory effect on 5-alpha reductase, the exact enzyme driving DHT overproduction in the aging prostate. When 5-alpha reductase activity is reduced, less testosterone is converted to DHT, the growth signal to prostate cells weakens, and the chronic inflammation that DHT drives in prostate tissue begins to resolve. A double-blind, placebo-controlled study found that men supplementing with fenugreek extract experienced significant reductions in prostate symptom scores alongside measurable improvements in testosterone to DHT ratios, meaning the testosterone they had was being preserved rather than aggressively converted into the damaging form. This is the same pathway that prescription 5-alpha reductase inhibitors like finasteride target, but fenugreek achieves it without the documented side effects of that medication class, including the sexual dysfunction that causes a significant percentage of men to discontinue finasteride within the first year. The second mechanism fenugreek activates for prostate health is direct anti-inflammatory action through its flavonoid content, particularly vitexin and isovitexin. Chronic inflammation in the prostate is not just a symptom of BPH, it is an active driver of its progression. Inflammatory cytokines like IL-6 and TNF-alpha promote prostate cell proliferation independently of DHT, meaning even if DHT is somewhat controlled, unchecked inflammation continues to push prostate growth forward. Fenugreek's flavonoids have been shown to suppress these specific inflammatory markers in prostate tissue at the cellular level, giving it a dual mechanism of action that addresses both the hormonal and inflammatory drivers of prostate enlargement simultaneously. Now here is where fenugreek becomes extraordinary rather than simply useful. The same protodioscin compound that inhibits 5-alpha reductase in prostate tissue also has a measurable effect on insulin receptor signaling. Research published in the International Journal for Vitamin and Nutrition Research found that fenugreek supplementation produced significant reductions in fasting blood glucose and post-meal glucose response in subjects with elevated baseline numbers. The mechanism operates through two pathways. First, fenugreek contains a unique amino acid called 4-hydroxyisoleucine, which directly stimulates insulin secretion from pancreatic beta cells in a glucose-dependent manner, meaning it only triggers insulin release when blood sugar is actually elevated, which prevents the hypoglycemic risk associated with many pharmaceutical agents. Second, 4-hydroxyisoleucine improves the sensitivity of peripheral insulin receptors, the same GU-LUT4 transporter mechanism that determines how efficiently your muscle cells pull glucose out of the bloodstream in response to insulin. For men with insulin resistance, this dual pancreatic and peripheral action addresses the condition from both ends simultaneously. Fenugreek seeds are also one of the richest dietary sources of soluble fiber, specifically a compound called galactomannan. In the digestive tract, galactomannan forms a viscous gel that physically slows the absorption of glucose from food into the bloodstream. The result is a dramatically flatter post-meal glucose curve, the difference between a sharp spike that stresses your pancreas and a gradual rise your insulin response can actually manage. For men over 60 whose pancreatic reserve is already reduced, this mechanical buffering of glucose absorption may be as important as any pharmaceutical intervention in preventing the progressive beta cell exhaustion that drives type 2 diabetes forward. Beyond prostate and blood sugar, here is what most people never learn about fenugreek because they stop researching too early. Fenugreek has been shown in multiple studies to support healthy testosterone levels by reducing the rate at which testosterone is converted, not just to DHT, but also to estrogen through aromatase activity. In aging men, rising estrogen relative to testosterone contributes to fatigue, loss of lean muscle mass, increased body fat, particularly around the abdomen, and reduced mental sharpness. Men in a randomized controlled trial who received fenugreek extract reported significant improvements in energy, strength, and libido alongside the hormonal changes. Outcomes that matter enormously for quality of life after 60, but that rarely come up in a standard medical appointment. Fenugreek also demonstrates meaningful cardiovascular benefits that are particularly relevant for men managing blood sugar. It has been shown to reduce LDL cholesterol and triglycerides while supporting HDL levels, a lipid profile shift that directly reduces the cardiovascular risk that runs parallel to metabolic dysfunction in older men. And its antioxidant compounds, particularly its high content of polyphenols, have been shown to reduce oxidative stress markers in both prostate tissue and vascular endothelium, supporting arterial flexibility and reducing the oxidative damage to beta cells that accelerates insulin secretion decline with age. Now let's talk about how to use this correctly, because form and preparation determine whether you get clinical results or nothing at all. Whole fenugreek seeds are effective, but require specific preparation to maximize bioavailability. Soak 1 to 2 teaspoons of whole fenugreek seeds in 4 ounces of water overnight. In the morning, drink the soaking water first on an empty stomach. This liquid contains the highest concentration of dissolved galactomannan and 4-hydroxyisoleucine. Then chew and swallow the softened seeds. The soaking process partially breaks down the seed's outer coating, significantly increasing the absorption of its active compounds compared to eating dry seeds. For men who prefer a more concentrated and consistent dose, a standardized fenugreek extract of 500 milligrams daily, taken with breakfast, delivers a clinically relevant amount of protodioscin and 4-hydroxyisoleucine without the preparation step. If you are using the whole seed method, consistency across 6 to 8 weeks is required to see measurable changes in both prostate symptom scores and fasting glucose. These are tissue-level changes that build gradually rather than producing overnight results. Here is what I want you to walk away knowing today. After 60, your prostate and your blood sugar are being driven by the same hormonal and inflammatory machinery. Fenugreek addresses that machinery directly through 5-alpha reductase inhibition, DHT suppression, direct prostate anti-inflammation, insulin secretion support, peripheral receptor sensitization, and glucose absorption buffering in a single seed that has 3,000 years of use and a growing body of rigorous modern clinical research behind it. Soak the seeds overnight, drink the water first, eat the seeds on an empty stomach. Give it 6 to 8 weeks. And pay attention, because the men who are consistent with this are the ones who come back and say their numbers finally moved in the right direction. If this video gave you real value today, share it with a man over 60 who needs to hear it. And in the next video, I am going to reveal the 3 foods that silently accelerate DHT production and prostate growth in men over 60. Foods that most men eat every single day without knowing what they are doing. That video is next. I will see you there.